I'm Teisha Bader with the JBS News Update for Monday, February the 9th, 2015. Reuters reports that Israeli officials are weighing an alternative to Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu's scheduled address to a joint session of Congress next month. However, Haaretz reports, citing sources in the Prime Minister's office, that there is no such consideration, adding that there has been no change as of now to Netanyahu's U.S. schedule. The invite from Republican Speaker of the House John Boehner to the Prime Minister to speak to Congress without prior presidential approval has caused great controversy over the last few weeks, as it has been framed as if the Israeli Prime Minister is prepared to disrespect the President of the United States by accepting Boehner's invitation. However, the New York Times has run a retraction acknowledging that it had misreported when it said that Netanyahu announced his acceptance of Speaker Boehner's invitation before the White House had been informed of the invite. The New York Times later printed a correction saying that Netanyahu accepted the invite after the administration had been informed of the invite from Boehner and not before. The Reuters report today, meanwhile, said that unnamed Israeli officials were considering whether Netanyahu should speak to a closed-door session of Congress as an alternative to the live televised session, or that Netanyahu should make his speech at the annual meeting of the American Israel Public Affairs Committee rather than to Congress. And the Times of Israel reported that an offer was extended to Netanyahu over a week ago to meet privately with congressional leaders instead of the March 3rd address, and that he had not yet responded to that offer. Netanyahu, meanwhile, seems to be committed to the March 3rd speech before Congress about the Iranian nuclear threat. He told his daily cabinet meeting yesterday that Israel will take any action to prevent the world powers from signing a, quote, bad and dangerous deal with Iran over its nuclear program. And immediately following the JBS News Update tonight, Mark Gala will be speaking to various newsmakers about this issue on a special edition of In the News. The Palestinian Authority has decided to boycott 6 major Israeli companies in what is seen as a response to Israel's freezing of tax funds it collects for the PA. Israel withheld the funds after the Palestinians made an official bid to the International Criminal Court in The Hague this past December, accusing Israel of war crimes. Today, senior Fatah official Mahmoud al-Alul held a press conference announcing that starting this Wednesday, the PA would not allow goods and produce from Israeli companies Tnuva, Strauss, Elite, Jafora, Osem, and Prigat into the West Bank, and that merchants there will have 2 weeks to dispose of the Israeli-made products that are already on their shelves. The IDF said today that it had recently finished destroying a terror tunnel that had been dug by Hamas. The tunnel led from the neighborhood of Sajaiya in Gaza City to outside of Kibbutz Nahal Oz in southern Israel. Most of the tunnel had been demolished this past summer after it was discovered during Operation Protective Edge. Israel security agency the Shin Bet says it has exposed a large terror network of Israeli Arabs in the East Jerusalem neighborhood of Atur. Indictments for 5 Israeli Arabs who face charges of throwing firebombs, pipe bombs, rocks, and fireworks at Israeli security forces and at Jewish residents were announced today. Slain journalists James Foley and Stephen Sotloff were posthumously honored last week with the Anti-Defamation League's Daniel Pearl Award. The award was established in 2003 to memorialize the life and legacy of the Jewish Wall Street Journal reporter who was abducted and murdered by terrorists in Pakistan in 2002. Both Sotloff, who was Jewish, and Foley were kidnapped and murdered by ISIS in Syria last year. ADL National Director Abe Foxman said the two in many ways had followed in Pearl's footsteps, citing their thirst for knowledge and understanding. Foxman said they were more interested in the people behind the stories, in finding the humanity behind the headlines. And turning now to our programming for tonight, Monday, February the 9th. Coming up immediately after this news update, Mark Gala will be speaking to various newsmakers about the issue of the Netanyahu address to Congress on a special edition of In the News. Then later at 7:30 tonight, documentary producer Nancy Spielberg, sister of Steven Spielberg, talks about her film Above and Beyond, which tells the story of American Jewish pilots who flew for Israel in the War of Independence. And then at 8 tonight, Executive Director of the American Jewish Committee, David Harris, talks about the growing anti-Semitism in France and Europe with President of the European Union of Jewish Students, Jane Braden-Golai, from an AJC event in Westchester. At 9, Mark Golub sits down with Executive Director of the JCC in Manhattan, Joy Levitt. And then at 10 tonight, a discussion with 4 leading American female rabbis: Orthodox Rabbi Sarah Hurwitz, Conservative Rabbi Diane Kohler-Esses, Reform Rabbi Angela Buchdahl, and Reform Rabbi Diana Gerson from the 92nd Street Y. That's tonight on JBS and jbstv.org. And that's the JBS News Update from Monday, February the 9th, 2015. I'm Teisha Bader.